Well, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm looking forward to it.
So am I. I don't know what it is about you, but you just laugh so much.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I enjoy laughing, mate.
And I think the first time we met, which was probably about 4 years ago, back in London, near Heathrow.
Yeah.
The thing that really attracted me to you,
been 4 years.
the thing that really attracted me to you was your laughter.
Thanks, mate.
And was your smile. It's like, fuck, this guy really enjoys himself.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't really enjoying myself being there. It's like, oh, what am I doing here? And it was quite interesting because I had this business strategist, and he said, "Oh, you've got to go to this event." You know,
is that right?
Yeah, and you know, I sort of ended up there, and I thought, not really for me.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, not really for me. But I like being around these people.
Yeah,
who are hungry.
Yeah.
Who are doing their shit.
Yeah.
And were sort of finding a way of essentially making a living out of their passion.
Yeah.
So that's when I met a few, interesting individuals, and we're still mates, apart from that business strategist. And probably if he's watching this, he'll know who he is. I won't mention his bloody name. But having said that, he did go on my podcast. So, okay. I did interview him, but I didn't release it.
Okay. Is that right?
Yeah, we had an interesting conversation. Very intelligent guy. But I have this analogy. Whenever someone says I'm a strategist, I switch off.
Okay.
I'm
not a strategist.
Yeah. Instantly I know this is bullshit.
Hey, this is bullshit.
If they're a strategist, it's bullshit. Because as you know, there's this maxim that culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yeah.
It's about culture.
I like it.
So, it's not about strategy, it's about culture. What culture you bring into your life, into your family, into your organization, into your school, into your workplace.
Yeah.
Not strategy.
No.
Because strategies keep changing.
Yeah. Right, brother, I should probably formally introduce us quickly.
Oh, I thought we started.
No, we're not properly started. We can shoehorn that into the actual conversation, no problem.
Cool.
It's all fun and games. But I'll just do a quick rapid fire intro, and we can get going. This is Elliot Reeves, founder of Inspired Edinburgh, creator of the Elliot Reeves Show. And on this episode, I am joined by my main man, the Third Eye Doctor, Dr. Haidar Al-Hakim. How are you, brother?
I'm very well, thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Well, it's a real honor, actually, to be honest.
Well, thank you.
Because I've been trying to sit down next to you and have a conversation, a proper conversation with you for some time. And here I am in Edinburgh, lovely Edinburgh. I haven't been here for ages.
You've been here before, though?
Well, the last time I was here is probably about 30 years ago.
Whoa.
Yeah,
right,
yeah. 30 years ago. It hasn't changed. Nothing's fucking changed.
Really?
Well, I don't think so. It all looks very old and falling apart.
It's aged well.
I mean, the trams look new.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
I think that's it. And that's probably from European money, maybe.
Yeah, well, I don't know actually. Who knows? So, brother, let's kind of go back to your early years. I mean, what's sort of your bio, your background? Yeah.
Fucking hell, that's yeah. Let's not go there. It's fucking dark.
Go for it.
So I was born in Baghdad. I'm from southern Iraq, from a very religious and political family. And my dad came here to do his PhD in marine biology. It was about sexual practices of carps.
Seriously?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's what that's what the thesis was about. Jeez. So this is in Nottingham in '83, and then we were due to go back to Iraq. Mm-hmm. But then, because my family's involved in politics, Saddam executed 54 members of our family back in 1983, so we couldn't really go back. Mm-hmm. So we stayed in the UK. And my plan was always to go back home and help the people of Iraq. So that was my story, and that was my utopia. Mm-hmm. And that was reinforced by my parents, my dad particularly, and my mum. So I became a staunch academic. and I ended up in one of the oldest medical schools in London, Barts in London, and I studied there. And then I got into eye surgery, ophthalmic surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So I trained there. And the intention was always to go back to Iraq. And very religious man, very Muslim, religious, from the Shia sect. And so in 2003, Saddam disappeared and there was a new order. So I went back to Iraq in 2004. And that was an eye-opener because there was no government at the time.
Mm.
And it was weird. It was weird because I went there. There was no government, but it was so peaceful. And it was so tranquil. And people were just living normal lives. You know, they sort of got together. They arranged themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the shopkeeper would keep shopping. The doctor would keep doing the doctoring. And, you know, there wasn't a sort of a central government keeping order. Everyone sort of just got on and did their own things. And it was really, really weird.
Yeah.
It was back in 2004. You know, there were pockets of violence and pockets of unrest, which, you know, you'd see on CNN and BBC.
Mm-hmm.
But 99.9% of the time, it was really nice. I thought, wow. And I thought, wow, I need to be back here. So the intention was really to go back.
Mm-hmm. So
in 2005, my wife's Iraqi, so she's like proper Iraqi, not me, sort of anglicized Iraqi. And she was totally surprised. She thought, "Are you crazy? What do you mean you want to go back to Iraq?" You know, because she lived through the two wars, the sanctions as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Iraqi society is a very polarizing society, and that's from years and years of wars and ideological conflicts.
Yeah.
So 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, there's a lot of ideological conflict between the Islamists, between the communists, between the nationalists, between the secularists.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always ideological conflict there. And with that comes physical conflict and political conflict. So I sort of grew up in conflict, particularly ideological conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, being an academic, you're in conflict with your spirituality and your religion.
Yeah.
Because, you know, how can academia and science merge
exactly.
with religion? And so I was steeped in this ideological conflict, and, you know, hence all the grey hairs and looking so old for my age.
But that must cause quite a lot of internal conflict.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, all that
exactly.
sort of stuff. So how do you go about processing it all and figuring out?
I think you deny a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just go into denial, and you just work with things that don't hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you work with things that hurt you the least.
Okay.
Sort of thing. And I think I subconsciously turned into a social chameleon without me knowing it. You know, so I wasn't really myself.
Yeah.
I was just being whoever other people expected me to be.
Yeah.
So I went to Iraq in 2005, and it was weird. It was really weird because when I was there in 2004, everyone was happy to see me there because I was there to help them and so on, and do eye operations and all that. But once I sort of settled there, because I bought a property there back in 2004, they looked at me and they thought, shit, this guy's serious. You're seriously going to live here and help us? And then they didn't trust me. And it was really weird because growing up here in the UK, even in the 70s and 80s and 90s, you know, there was a bit of racism or what have you, but people trust, you know, you trust people.
Yeah.
You know, if he or she are going to say, I'm going to do something, you believe them. So going into a society in 2005 where people literally don't trust anyone, it was straight, it was bizarre. It's fucking bizarre. You go there and no one's like, oh, weird. It's like really being in a sort of a Western, but real life Western, where everyone's got their gun ready.
Yeah.
About to shoot you.
Jeez.
You know, on a psychological level, obviously not on a physical level. I mean, there were tons of guns there, and I mean, we had guns and so on, but you wouldn't use that because there are consequences of killing someone.
Yeah.
Because Iraq is a very tribalistic system.
So even without a government?
Well, there is no government in Iraq.
Still.
So, I mean, the way Saddam controlled things is that he was from a particular tribe, and he made deals with the West. You can call it the CIA, you can call it CNN, you can call it MI5. But he did deals with the higher powers to fund him.
Okay.
So he got that funding. And what he did, he went to all the tribes in his area. He goes, look, I've got funding. We're going to be the big men here. Are you with us or against us? If you're with me, great. I'll sort you out. Okay. If you're against me, I'm going to use my guns against you. So then he sort of created his own network of people. And then he extended that to the rest of the country. So that's how he took over. But essentially, it's a tribalistic system. So once Saddam disappeared, you're still left with all these different tribes, but now they're all, fighting for power.
Yeah.
And then who's going to win? So, you've got a government who's backed by a lot of money and the Iraqi army, essentially. But now there's, financial vested interest, there's geopolitical interest there, so that government is not going to fall because there are lots of financial interests from all the multinational companies when it comes to oil and other natural resources. But geographically speaking, it's a very important, strategic area. You got Iran there, you've got Turkey there, you've got Saudi Arabia, and all of the natural resources that flow through that area. So, it is everyone's interested in Iraq.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's based on tribes. I come from a very well-known southern Iraq tribe, Al-Hakim tribe, and my dad's cousin is one of the richest men in Iraq. And that's a good thing and a bad thing, which means if I go to my tribe, I have a certain say, but then when I go to another tribe who's an enemy tribe, you're fucked, basically.
Yeah. So how are you perceived, given that you are, I mean, I don't know, how do you identify? Do you see yourself as British or Iraqi?
So before, it was Iraqi, right? Then I went to Iraq, and they said, no, you're not Iraqi, you're British. Yeah, but I'm Al-Hakim. No, you're not. You're fucking British. Look at you. As in, look at you. You're a nice guy. You trust people.
Yeah.
What the fuck? It's like, yeah, Iraqis, look, okay, I'm generalizing, blah, blah, but that was my experience.
Yeah.
When it comes to the reality of things, you going there as an outsider, it's fine. They'll do whatever they want for you. But you going there as a supposedly insider, they'll fuck you up. Okay.
Jeez.
Even within my family, it was an issue. I saw that. What do I get out of this? This is what my family members were saying. What do I get out of this? Subconsciously or unconsciously.
Yeah.
And it's like, So my intention was always, okay, I'm going into this field of untrust, which was totally alien to me, right? But my intention was always to improve the situation in Iraq because of my religious upbringing and because of my nationalistic view inside my head that I'm Iraqi and I'm there to help the people. So I still had that. It didn't quite work out. So I decided to start a charity with a good friend of mine. I think she's half Scottish. Sharon Ridsdale, really nice lady. So I treated her on Boxing Day back in 2006. She had a really bad eye infection. And she said, well, let's start a charity. So I started a charity, Al Hassan Foundation, back in 2006. And I used to go back to Iraq every 6 months, doing operations. The Iraqis, they were happy now because, I moved back to the UK. There's no, oh yes, he's British again. Bye-bye. Yeah, that's fine. Come and do your operations and fuck off. That's okay. So, but, I felt at home in Iraq more than here because of that spiritual sense that I got. And also my ancestry was there. People don't realize that, you know, you are made up of not just yourself and your parents, but your great-grandparents and your great-great-grandparents, and it just goes back generations.
Yeah.
You know, they do have an influence on you, whether you like it or not.
Mm.
And the question is, do you allow that, or do you fight it?
Mm.
And the people that fight it, you know, whenever you're in a fight, you lose, essentially, even if you win. You know, you don't win in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
You learn things from a fight, but you don't win in a fight.
Mm.
So I knew Iraq was my place, so I kept fighting to go back. So then, you know, we got some great funding from the US Army for the charity. We got great funding from the British government. It was weird. We got funding from everywhere, non-Iraqi. And when I went to the community here, it was like, no, you're Al Hakim, piss off, you know. Or, oh yeah, you must be doing it for politics, or you must be doing it for something else.
So when you say community, who do you mean by that?
Iraqi community.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you would have thought that. I mean, obviously we got some funding here and there, but not that kind of realization that your country is all fucked up. You know, come on, guys. It's your country, fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Do something about it. And yet I was being funded by the US Army.
Yeah.
You know, who's supposedly be doing all this destruction.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, my views are a bit different. I mean, you know, the reason why we have all this violence and so on in Iraq is not because of outside terrorism, it's because of inside terrorism.
Do you think so?
Yeah. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, feuds between tribes, feuds between politicians, feuds between influential individuals. And they can even be doctors. Because the way that Iraqi society is set up is that you're in politics or religion or both, and then the doctors, because they're very influential.
Okay.
So, you know, the way the system works is that if you do well in education, you become a doctor, and you're sorted for life. You know, that's it. You're influential there. So it's quite common for doctors to be politicians.
Okay.
Very common. So you have that kind of godlike, you know, status. So back in 2010, I literally sold up here in London, and the charity was doing well. Went back to Najaf, which is south of Baghdad, which is where my homeland is, and Najaf is like the Vatican of Shia Muslims.
Really?
So yeah, it has a very old seminary. It's been there for about 1,300 years, and it has one of the biggest cemeteries in the world, and it has lots of Islamic important shrines. Yeah, so I was back there in 2010, but you know, that trust issue didn't change, and then I started changing inside, and I thought, do you know what? Maybe this isn't me. This isn't who I am. Maybe I shouldn't be here. So yeah, so I went through a proper burnout. It's kind of got fucked up because, you know, I stopped fighting or sort of stopped augmenting this ideology that I had been fed all my life, you know, 35, 40 years being fed this ideology. And I was thinking, fuck, who the fuck I am? You know, what am I doing here? What's going to happen to me? So that was a really dark place for me. And, yeah, it was horrible. It was a horrible place.
How did it sort of manifest then?
Just depressed and suicidal and
really
very dull. I'm sort of sweating thinking about it.
Jeez. Could be the lighting.
Could be that as well.
Could be the lighting.
No, it was very dark. I mean, my wife was happy-ish, you know, because she's very religious, and you know, her father's a well-known religious figure, and he was imprisoned and tortured by Saddam for his religion. Oof. So it's like serious stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, actually. I didn't know what, you know, and I was there doing my dream job.
Yeah.
Saving sight. for millions and thousands of people, and we set up lots of great clinics and hospitals, and so on the surface of things, I was a success, but inside I was just fucked up, and I was like, fuck. So this went on for a couple of years, and then a friend of mine said, what the fuck's wrong with you? He said, why don't you see a coach?
Really?
He said, why don't you see a life coach? I thought, fuck. I said, what the fuck's a life coach? So I saw, I won't mention who I saw, but he's a great guy from Canada. Amazing guy. And he just changed my perspective.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It just changed my perspective.
So what was the from and to, if you like?
It's just giving myself permission that I can look elsewhere. Giving myself permission rather than other people giving me the permission. Yeah. It's like, do you know what? Maybe I can do this. I can let go of this shit. Because before it was just fear. No, I can't do that. I'm not allowed. I'll go to hell. I'll be burnt for infinity and beyond. So that was initially really enlightening and great. Yeah. But then came the confusion and the darkness. Like, fuck, what do I do now? If I'm not this, what am I?
Yeah.
Because it's one thing knowing what you are, but it's even worse knowing what you're not. And that's what life is about. Life is about knowing what you're not rather than what you are.
Yeah.
I'm not A, B, C, and D. I don't know what I am, but I'm not these three.
Yeah.
Or these four.
Yeah.
So I found out who I wasn't. So I wasn't really an academic. And I wasn't really a religious person. And I wasn't into hardcore ideology. Whereas before it was either extreme, yes, fucking yes, 100%, nothing fucking else. Just this. Yeah. Fuck everyone else.
Yeah.
And I thought, do you know what? Maybe it's in the grey now. It's not the black and white.
Yeah.
Actually, I should be in the grey.
Yeah.
Or I can be in the grey. I give permission to be in the grey. Fuck. But it was very dark because I didn't have any answers, whereas before I had all the answers.
Yeah.
I knew what was going to happen to me today, tomorrow, next year, after I die. I know what's going to happen after I die as well. 70 virgins and everything else. So I was like, sorted. But now I was like, fuck, what do I do now?
Yeah.
So it was a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
The liberation.
Yeah. I can totally relate to what you're saying and I think a lot of people are like that. I think a lot of people see the world in absolute terms. It's yes or no or black and white. Whereas when you start to break down a lot of the things, your old belief systems and your paradigms, when those start to dissipate, you're then left with a lot of questions and not many answers, and it does cause like an immense amount of confusion.
Well, it's scary.
Yeah.
It was super scary. And
so what's your approach to that now then?
So one of my maxims is expect the unexpected.
Okay. You've got a lot of Haiderisms.
I've got a lot of Haiderisms because I thought, look, everything is bullshit. We talked about this before. At the end of the day, everything is bullshit. What we're talking about right now is bullshit.
In what sense? Just so people have clarity on that.
Well, when I say bullshit, don't take too much into it.
Yeah.
Okay. But at the same time, everything is bullshit. But at the same time, your bullshit may be sacred for some people. So keep talking your bullshit. That's what I mean. Bullshit for some people is fucking sacred. They wouldn't even touch it. It's like, wow, that's the bullshit there.
What was an example of that? Like,
I don't know, because it's bullshit.
Well, like, but political beliefs, religious beliefs,
whatever it is. What I'm trying to say is that if you believe in your bullshit, that's what matters.
Okay.
Because it's your bullshit.
Yeah.
But it's your story.
Yes.
But it's not truth.
Yeah.
It's not absolute.
Yeah.
Don't take it as if it's gospel. It's not.
Yeah.
It's your version.
Exactly. It's a perspective.
Bullshit. Yeah. So when I sit with someone, and they could be the president of this, that, and the other, and they're going, la, I know it's bullshit. Do you know what I mean? And it doesn't resonate with me.
Yeah.
I just walk away. And I did a podcast with a well-known doctor, and he was interviewing me, And he's like going on about, you know, low carbs and high fat diets. And I said, look, that's bullshit. And he just went off on one.
Oh, Jesus.
And like, what do you mean? And I said, look, you know, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's your bullshit. Right? And then he cut that segment off.
Seriously?
Yeah, from the interview. So it shows you how much of a, you know, I can't say the word Nazi, can I?
I mean, you can.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say that.
I won't be cutting it out. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, so that really got. I thought, oh, you know, so people. But the thing is, they've invested so much time and effort and life into this bullshit. They can't back down. Whereas I took that process of, do you know what? I can't live my life anymore like this. Mm-hmm. And there are millions of people out there who just keep doing the same old stuff because they've invested so much stuff into that bullshit.
Yeah.
And I just can't be there. I just couldn't be there. So, you know, whenever I do talks, I do say that, look, this is my bullshit. And, you know, don't take it too seriously. And you know, I think doctors do take things a bit too seriously. I mean, it is a serious topic, people's health. Mm-hmm. But then everything is serious. Health, wealth, teaching, everything is serious.
But again, it is and it isn't.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. It's serious, but at the same time, you can always take a lighter view about things. Yeah. You know, whichever field you're in, don't take it fucking seriously.
Yeah, I know.
You know, no matter how serious it is. And, you know, when I sit there with my patients and, you know, they're sort of losing vision and possibly going blind, and some of them do go blind, you know, I do approach it in a very light-hearted way. And they're like, wow, how are you so light-hearted? What? I can't not be light-hearted. Do you want me to be all serious and... We can't do that. Well, I can't do that. I think the more we can bring lightheartedness into the situation, it just breaks down those barriers and it just makes people more human. Yeah. And, you know, that's the secret to life, is sort of bringing the humanism into every situation that we have, no matter how serious it's perceived to be.
Yeah. And you're really good at that.
Yeah,
you know, like your social media and stuff.
Really?
I mean, I definitely think so. You know, your personality totally comes across. It seems as though you're always being completely yourself and totally authentic. And there's that sort of brutally honest, no bullshit approach. And you don't mind just having a laugh. For somebody that, you know, by all intents and purposes, you know, tradition would suggest that because you're a doctor, you have to act in a certain way.
Doctor from a fucking religious family, fuck's sake.
Yeah,
you
know,
I mean,
certainly that's my own personal opinion of it, is that, I mean,
if I'm to die tomorrow, they'll say, yeah, Haider was a good laugh. You know, I think I've done my thing in life. He was a good laugh, and that was it, really, because life's fucked up. I mean, it's harsh. I mean, if you look at the reality of things, life is harsh, life is suffering, life is a joke. So I might as well have a joke about it. You know, I think people take it way too seriously, and you know, I'd like to make fun of religious people, particularly.
Interesting.
And I think Scotland's the best place for that.
This is probably safer. Oh, jeez. So how do you identify now religiously?
So I would say that I'm a spiritual person, and I understand the Islamic philosophy and ideology very well. So yeah, sort of in that kind of sphere of being knowledgeable about that philosophy. There's some great things in it, which I really love. And there's some not so great things in it, which I probably won't talk about. If you know what I mean. But if I'm on the sort of, the comedy stand-up scene, then yeah, I would talk about it a lot. I think I get a lot of...
So do you consider yourself a Muslim these days?
With my Muslim friends, yes.
Yeah.
Hello, salaam alaikum. How are you, sir? Hear me sweating again. I think this coffee is spiked, mate. I think this fucking coffee is spiked. It's got this.
No, it's interesting because
nice Muslim tinge to it. It's even dark as well.
Yeah, because I was on your podcast and we kind of touched upon religion and various different things, and like I listen to a lot of the sort of social or political commentators, and that's from people that are on the extreme left to the extreme right, and you've got a lot of people, especially today, like your Tommy Robinsons or Majid Nawaz, a lot of people, Sam Harris, your Dawkins, Hitchens, who have always been really critical of, religion as a whole, but Islam or Islamists, really more specifically, people who take the very extreme stance on something. I mean, in terms of the teachings of the Quran and the religion as a whole, I mean, do you think there is any violence in it?
Well, just look at Harry Potter. Is there violence in Harry Potter? I mean, if you look for something, you'll find it.
Okay.
So if you're going to look for peace and tranquility and how to live together and how to be peaceful and how to be a vibrant community and become the most enlightened human being you can ever think of, it's in the Quran. And if you want to look at anything else, you'll find that as well. So, I mean, it is very unfair to paint the religion with that picture.
Yeah.
And what it boils down to is politics and money and power. Okay, that's what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm.
So the onus is on the politicians and the people in power to raise the game of the people, not raise the game of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens in a lot of the Muslim countries. They raise their own game using the scriptures for the benefit of themselves, no one else. And, that's just the way history has always been that way. And it's the same with any other ideology, whether it's agnosticism and atheism. And people abuse that position of power and blame it on other people's ideology and not their ideology.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what it boils down to. I mean, I get into some really, really interesting conversations with atheists and agnostics, and I totally understand where they're coming from. And that's great. Do they totally understand where I'm coming from? I don't know. So, I think having this dialogue is really important, and not having mud to sort of sling about. I think that's what's important, and just sort of accept that other people have different views to you.
Yeah.
And we'll just move forward, because life's too short to be fucking having shit conversations like this.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this conversation.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But having that conversation of your religion's full of this, your religion's full of this. I mean, what's the benefit of that? You're only going to alienate those people.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You're just not going to have that, nice dialogue and nice cups of coffee and can I touch this
salt
thing?
Lamps? Of course you can.
Ooh.
I was on a podcast not long ago, the I Am KP podcast. Shout out to Darren Kinlock, and he got one of these, and his girlfriend has been licking it.
Where?
Because it's salt, and it obviously tastes salty. It's like Himalayan rock salt.
Can I taste it?
If you want to,
well,
sure.
If she's licked it.
Yeah. She hasn't licked that one.
Oh.
That could be a challenge. We'll do that.
Let's lick this one here.
I've never licked it. Does it taste? Is it
yeah,
salty?
very salty. I think my
salty?
blood pressure's going up now.
It's supposed to have all sorts of health benefits.
I can get addicted to this, actually. I can get addicted to keep licking it. I come in.
Oh, Jesus. I've totally lost it. Well, yeah, let's not talk about him. Yeah, but, I'm cautious.
Can I lick this as well?
No, don't do that. Other people have to speak into that.
You can always watch it.
I'm cautious that religion and God come up quite a lot in this show, but I find it
Why
interesting.
the fuck
not?
I mean,
yeah, you're right.
It's when I said, look, do you know what? This isn't me anymore, because I had to step up and say, do you know what? I've had enough of this shit.
Yeah.
I'm not A, B, C, and D.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's ask these difficult questions.
Yeah.
And that's when I started, writing the book and doing the podcast and sort of doing these talks, and really I just asked these difficult questions that many people don't want to ask themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's only after you ask these questions, like why the fuck am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And it's making me miserable.
Yeah.
Why the fuck am I? Okay, I got my Porsche, I got my fucking shout out to all the nice ladies out there and and sort of all these nice places, right? But I'm still not fucking happy.
Yeah.
You know, and we don't ask those difficult questions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, you do need to stop. And I stopped, and I said, "Do you know what? I'm gonna." But then when I did that, it caused a lot of problems.
Well, that's it exactly.
You know, the wife hated me. They sort of left me for some period of time. The family essentially disowned me, and my whole community disowned me.
Jeez.
You know, it was sort of that serious. But then I thought to myself, well, it's my life.
Yeah.
It's not my fucking family's life or my community's life. It's my fucking life. I only get one bat at it, right? And I want to do something. Okay, I did my thing to a certain stage, and I felt that I've outgrown this, or it's not me anymore. Or I've evolved into something different. And as you know, the body changes totally every 7 years or 6 years or something like that. So you, Elliot, today, 2019 is different from 2012. Totally different.
Yeah.
And that's the same in terms of your thoughts and even your spirituality, which is your sort of sense of soul and being.
Yeah. Totally.
Totally different.
Yeah.
And that's why you think to yourself, really, did I do that shit sort of a couple of years ago? Did I think that way, though?
I know.
You know? And sometimes it's quite scary. You think, wow.
Yeah.
But then you're allowing yourself to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment you stop evolving and the moment you stop changing, that's when it gets scary.
Yes.
That's when you get extremism. That's when you get fucked up people. That's when you get damage happening to yourself and to your family and to your community and to your society and to the world.
Yeah.
And that's when you get these sort of crazy people that you hear about and read about in history books.
But so many people get locked into their narratives, their stories, their beliefs, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that defines them. And so if they do try and challenge a lot of that, or they do evolve as a person, as you say, as you grow older, you change, you know, in every sense. But yet people can still be attached to how they were like 10 years ago when they were actually a different version of themselves. There's a brilliant video on YouTube called Athene's Theory of Everything, I think it's called. And it's all about sort of psychology and all that stuff. And one of the quotes from it, which I absolutely love, is speaking about people as a momentary expression of an ever-changing unity with no center, which basically means that, you know, you're never the same for any length of time. So in this moment, I am different to how I am in this moment because my chemistry is different. I've aged, even although it's just like a small amount of time. You know, you're basically how you are in that moment, and that's all you are.
Yeah, my blood pressure's just gone up licking this piece of salt. Look at that. Eyes going red. Blood pressure's sky high.
You're not having a reaction.
Coffee spike.
Yeah,
licking
coffee spikes.
You got anything else to lick?
Oh my god. Oh jeez.
So how have you
Good
changed
times.
in the last,
Good
say,
times.
how have you changed in the last month?
Oh, the last month.
What's the biggest change that's happened in you?
Good question.
One's a good thing, and you know, one thing that's changed that's good, and one thing that's changed that's bad.
My eating habits are always sort of subject to change, I would say. Often not for the good, so I can kind of maintain positive habits for an amount of time, but then continuing that indefinitely is always seems to be a challenge. So I would say at the beginning of the month it was probably good, and then it's kind of deteriorated. But in terms of, I mean, maybe I would say my mood has gone up, which is, it seems as though you would think inversely correlated. But yeah. So yeah, I'm probably, I don't know, I feel as though you kind of get more clarity on things in your life and where you're going with things like business matters or, you know, your vision for your future self. I feel as though I'm clearer on that sort of stuff. So yeah, I probably have greater maybe certainty or just the way I view things maybe a bit better. But yeah, my eating. I mean, you yourself. Yeah, I remember when we met and you showed me a picture of how you used to look.
Yeah, I was a fat bastard.
You were a big dude, man.
I was a big fat bastard. Yeah, I can say that.
So what happened? What happened there?
I lost weight because I was angry. You know, so you know, I was in Iraq. I was angry because my ideology changed, and I didn't love what I was doing. and I wanted to get out. So I was just angry about that. So I changed because I was angry. So yeah, I just fucking stopped eating, or I was just eating out of cans for months and months and running. Well, I'm obviously exaggerating.
Like dog food.
Yeah,
salt lamps and dog food.
Salt lamps and look, blood pressure was okay then. I saw this documentary, How to Get Abs or something like. It's about this 40-year-old who got abs.
Really?
And I thought, if he can do it, I can fucking do it. So yeah, I just went on a calorie restricted diet, and because I'm a stubborn bastard, you see, I'm a stubborn bastard. I'm gonna fucking do this. And I called my sister. She lives in London. I was in Iraq at the time. I said, yeah, I'm gonna get a 6-pack. She started laughing. You go and get a 6-pack. I was like, I'll fucking show you. Bang. And so I went on a calorie restricted diet. I turned yellow because I was eating carrots all day, and I was eating chickpeas all day, and I was running every day. And in Iraq, people are not used to people running in the streets. They think they've run out of a mental hospital or probably a terrorist or something. So I used to get stopped by the police when I was running, jogging.
What?
It's like, who the fuck are you? What are you doing? It's like, oh, I'm Iraqi. They look at you, and I'm kind of whitish, and they think you don't look very Iraqi, and your accent's a bit not 100% Iraqi. So one time they wanted to take me to the police station, which is a really bad idea in Iraq, because if you go into the police station, you're kind of fucked. You get the shit kicked out of you, and you probably won't come out alive. So I thought, shit, if I go to the police station, I'm going to get fucked. And my uncle, my mum's brother, he's a well-known political religious figure there. And I thought, do you know what? I better get them to send me to my uncle's. And I said, look, send me to my uncle. He's blah, blah. They look to me and think, fuck, how do you know his name? You must be a fucking terrorist. Let's take him over to our, he's got like a compound, and he's, barricaded the roads, and there's, sort of like a militarized zone.
Okay.
So they said, okay. I said, look, you have to drive me to Sheikh Mohammed's. His name is Sheikh Mohammed. I just didn't make it up. His name's Sheikh Mohammed. Hello, uncle, if you're watching this. Yeah, I'll see you next year, for our usual fish dish. So I said, look, you better take me to this blah blah's guys, Sheikh Mohammed. He goes, fuck this, he must be planning something. The police thought I was planning, and this out of a fucking jog, for fuck's sake. Yeah. I'm there to go and do a jog, and the police are picking me up. But I was wearing my Oakleys.
Oh, okay. Red alert.
Being from the West, you buy a few brands, isn't it?
Yeah.
I got to buy my fucking Oakleys. So they sat me in the police car. They drove up to the barricaded road where my uncle has all of his militia and so on. And then there were 3 police officers, 2 at the front, 1 sitting next to me. So the one goes out, speaks to the bodyguard. He goes, whatever. And then the bodyguard, it's like, what? It's like, oh, he's blah, 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 blah. And then the police started coming back, sort of tail between his legs, and, oh, I'm really sorry, doctor. I didn't know you were. Please forgive us. Please, doctor, we didn't. So I think, ever since then it was like, no one stopped me. But the kids still chase after me when I was in Iraq, because I thought I was some crazy guy, crazy middle-aged man running in the street, for exercise. This guy's proper fucked up. and I used to run in the morning, and in the morning you have all these wild dogs that run around. So, you get very fast.
Yeah.
Wild dogs chasing after you. So yeah, I mean, I sort of lost weight, and I lost something like I was 130 12 kilograms, and I got down to 72 kilograms. And then I went back home to the UK, because in the summer it's fucking hot in Iraq. So I used to always go back. I used to always come back here in the summer. You know, it gets up to about 60 degrees sometimes, because it's a very desert city, Najaf. That's where I'm from. So I went back home. My mum didn't recognize me when I was there at the door. Like, who the fuck are you?
Seriously?
It's like, it's me, Mum. Like, no, you're not. But, you know, I still wasn't happy. You know, I still had that anger in me. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't happy. You know, I thought I'd be happy being thin. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was glad because I can fit into anything now, whereas before it was a bit, it was bollocks. But I still wasn't happy. I still wasn't happy losing that weight, because I still had that anger. You know, the reason why I was losing the weight and so on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've always had a weight issue because I love food. Fucking hell, because food is the only thing that doesn't answer back. You know, it's like, yeah, I like you.
Oh, jeez.
But now it's like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the wife's happy. So yeah, I mean, going back, I think I sort of showed them that, look, I'm not like you. I'm something different, but I still accept you. Mm-hmm. And I think once my wife and my family kind of understood that, look, I'm not against you. I'm not against your philosophy and ideology. But then I'm not with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know, I'm not gonna fight you. Mm-hmm. You may still disagree with me, and they do, and you know, they still, you know, I mean, you know, it's a Ramadan at the moment, and I'm not fasting.
Are your family?
Yeah, they are, because I accept who they are. I don't agree with it.
So, like, your son.
Yeah. He sort of prays. He prays. He fasts. He follows it. You know, the wife is super religious. My daughters are super religious, and I accept them for who they are. You know, this is their choice, and you know, if it makes them a good human being, then why the fuck not? You know, they're law-abiding individuals with certain belief systems. They're tolerant. They're respectful. Off you go, mate. Do what you want.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way I look at it.
Huh.
And we're very lucky to be here. I mean, that's what I love about the UK. It's lovely. It's wonderful. You know, 99.999% of people are just lovely. You just sit there and you have a normal conversation, and that's it. You know, you can't have these conversations back home in Iraq. You just can't. And people get very serious about it. It's sad. You know, people get serious about bulletproof coffee. Fucking hell. Yes, no? They get serious about it, don't they?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, no, it's like this. No.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, fucking hell, it's frothy coffee.
Oh my word. So your pseudonym or your alias, the Third Eye Doctor, how did that come about, and what does that mean?
Well, I was fucking hell, here we go. Another business strategist.
Is that right?
Yeah. So it was like, oh yeah, you know, it's you know, so I help people look out using their physical eyes, and the other one is I help people look into themselves. So that's the third eye. So it's the intuition, the insight. So allow people to have insight. So that's where that came from, and hence the third eye. And it was from that business strategy who's from the Midlands. And then I went to a meeting in the Midlands, and I said, "Yeah, I'm the Third Eye Doctor." And they said, "What? The Jap's eye?" And I thought, oh, that bastard. Here's me paying him money for strategy, and then he fucks me up. Calls it third eye, and I'm like the Jap's eye in the Midlands, isn't it?
Jap's eye doctor.
Jap's eye doctor. I think they call urologists, which is fair enough. You know, I mean, I did a bit of urology, sticking stuff up people's Jap's eyes. Did a lot of that stuff.
Did you actually?
Yeah, it
Seriously?
was fucking boring, mate. His eyes are another one sticking it up. Actually, I
That
did
can't be
see
pleasant.
a
Can't be pleasant doing that or receiving
no. I
that.
mean, the most unpleasant thing I saw was a penile fracture.
Oh,
You know, snapped in two. Well, I mean, it was still attached, but that wasn't
jeez
nice.
grief.
All because of a certain sexual act.
Yeah.
Yeah, so be careful, guys. Don't think it's indestructible. Be careful.
Oh, jeez. Have you got any more books in the pipeline?
Yeah, so
Because you've written, is it
one book, Physician on Fire.
Yeah, yeah.
Physician on Fire on my fucked up stories. Stuff like that, and hopefully, well, people will laugh at me, which is the idea, and get some benefit out of it. Get over stress and burnout within 30 days.
Money back?
Money back guarantee, or you're dead. I'm not around, sorry. Fuck off. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of ideas. You see, because now, my posh hat on now, because I'm the chief medical officer for a corporate healthcare provider in central London. It's quite interesting because I deal with Arabs now. Yeah. So my patients are all Middle Eastern rich people. So that's because I've gone from NHS to charity healthcare. Now I'm in corporate healthcare.
Dark side.
Yeah, but I mean, it is dark side, but I love the dark side. I love the dark side. I mean, the reason why I'm happy is because I've embraced the dark side. I've slept with the dark side. I love Darth Vader. He's my best mate, but without the killing and sort of all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I love the dark side, and it's really interesting. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sort of torn between: do I write a book on leadership in healthcare,
Mm-hmm.
or the Me Too kind of how to be happy kind of thing?
How to be happy.
All that bollocks. How to be happy is come here, speak to this bugger. That's how you become happy.
Thanks, mate. Get a few things off your chest. Why the hell not?
Well, if I'm putting my arse on this, then that's all right, isn't it? Fucking hell. Yeah, so I'm sort of torn between those two. But, I mean, is 20 years of healthcare enough? I think I'm a good healthcare leader. I mean,
20 years might not be enough.
Yeah, it's this imposter syndrome, isn't it?
Okay,
You know, you sort of say to yourself, well, look at him, look at her. They've been in it for 40 years, 60 years. But then I think I've got a good formula on sort of how to write a book.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of swear words, lots of C words, lots of funny pictures. I don't know. I mean, I'm not too sure. But I think healthcare, leadership in healthcare is really important. I think that's something that's really lacking. And that's because the way doctors are trained is that they suck them of all confidence in themselves and suck them of all, independent thinking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, it is a very sad situation to see because I had no confidence whatsoever, going through medical school and being a junior doctor and being in the NHS and so on.
Mm-hmm.
You're not allowed to be an independent thinker. You're not allowed to innovate. You're not allowed to think differently. It's literally, this is the protocol.
Yeah.
You do this,
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise you're in big trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So I think that's why I went to Iraq, because it allowed me to sort of innovate and sort of so on. And being in the corporate world, I mean, the only prerequisite is you got to make profit.
Mm-hmm.
That's our only stumbling block, which is really important. Stumbling block. But if you've got systems in place and you've got the right people in the right job,
Mm-hmm.
It's not too difficult to make lots of profit. And, healthcare is very profitable. And leadership is all about bringing that humanism into healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
And humanism comes with vulnerability. And humanism comes with, we hear about these things all the time, authenticity and so on. And I think it's about being quirky. You sort of bring your quirkiness.
Yeah.
And bringing your idiosyncrasies and weirdness into the equation.
Do you think having your own, because you've got quite a prominent personal brand, I don't love the phrase, but you do, because obviously you're active on social media, you've got your Surgical Spirit podcast, you're an author, you do, you Third Eye Doctor, the sort of, you see what I mean, you've got the whole branded thing. Do you think that helps you, or do you think that goes against you?
No, it helps. I think I get carried away with social media. And what people don't realize is that you make more of an influence doing these things and speaking to people and being in events and networking and so on. So I mean, not everyone is an extrovert, or some people are hardcore introverts and it can be very difficult for them. But even then, you can find a way of going out. And there's so many people out there, and it's just different when you interact with them in real life rather than on social media.
Mm-hmm.
You just feel it differently.
Yeah.
So I think people, I get too carried away with social media in the sense that I'm on the sort of mobile phone all the time, and the daughters and the sons and the wife, not the wives, So yeah, I think I spend too much time on social media. So I definitely need to do a lot less and sort of be more out there. But then, my job is pretty full time.
Mm-hmm. Do you see being on social media as a destructive thing?
It's not destructive. I think you just need to be very focused of where your, greatest ROI is in terms of time and effort.
Yeah.
And just be consistent and stick with it. Doing half an hour of concerted, concentrated, concise effects.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And then go out and enjoy life, or do the other shit that really gets you going.
Yeah. What's your favorite podcast?
It used to be Joe Rogan,
Mm-hmm.
not anymore. And that's because he talks bullshit. That's because he hasn't got me on, motherfucker. Get me on there, mate. Don't need so much pot. All I need is a bit of water and a bit of coffee and this salt as well.
Salt.
Oh,
He's the salt.
he's got to get some salt there for me to lick.
He's got one of them.
Well, I might lick him then if that's the case.
Oh, so not Rogan.
Favorite podcast? I used to listen. I mean, the reason why I changed was because I listened to the podcast. So I literally listened to Joe Rogan's podcast, and that opened my mind. It shows you how closed I was. This was back in 2010. So I've essentially lived on podcasts. That's what really got me sane. Podcasts. It's crazy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It literally saved my life. It saved me from killing myself listening to podcasts.
Wow.
Hardcore Histories. I don't know if you've heard of Hardcore Histories.
Is that Dan Carlin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm. I think I've maybe listened to a bit. Not enough.
Lovely.
What's the thrust of it?
The thing is, because I came from a religion that said that you were unique. Yeah, that your history is unique and that your history is special.
Mm-hmm.
And once I listened to Hardcore Histories, I found that no, fucking everyone's been through this shit.
Yeah.
Nothing unique about me or sort of special or whatever. So it just opened my eyes, and it made me more tolerant and more accepting and, more loving of conflicting ideologies.
Mm-hmm.
Which podcast do I listen to? I don't actually listen to podcasts anymore, to
No?
be honest. No, because I'm doing my own one. I'm sort of busy doing my own one now. I don't really have time. But I like listening to sort of snippets of Joe Rogan's stuff, when he has really interesting guests.
Yeah. So what do you...
Kevin Hart's one was really enjoyable. I don't know if you heard that one.
I've not actually listened to that
That
yet.
was
I've
really
heard a few
good.
people say.
That was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, that, he's my idol. He's someone that I really look up to.
Kevin Hart?
Yeah, he's multi-talented. Multi-talented. He's got many fingers in pies.
Mm.
I love having my fingers in pies. All kinds of pies, as well as other things as well. Including this coffee. And comedians. I love comedians. I'm a joker.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to be funny, guys. Fuck's sake. But I get really funny when I talk about religious people and Arabs at the same time. Do you think it's going to work?
Dangerous territory.
Do you think it's going to work? How about if I go, talk about Arabs and sort of Muslims around Glasgow area? Is that better? Not Edinburgh. Glasgow and above.
Glasgow and above, I know. Yeah, podcasts.
I'm too busy now.
Yeah.
I literally, it's morning I go to the gym, and then I do my podcast, say hello to the wife, go to work, get back at 10 in the evening.
That late?
Yeah, and I do that Monday to Saturday.
Jeez.
So literally that, because the work is, being the chief, the shit's always hitting the fan.
Yeah.
And I'm there fucking, switching off the fan. But I like it that way. I like to stay busy. And
Stops you from thinking.
Stops me from thinking and changing again.
Yeah.
I've had enough of this shit. I mean, the other day I was thinking of leaving the job because, the bosses on top of me, they were giving me a right old hassle and stuff. And the wife said, look, just calm down. And I did calm down. Yeah, God bless them. Wives, God bless them. We need them.
Does it not bother you saying that, like, basically publicly, that you're thinking about leaving your job, like, in case somebody from your work hears or sees it and thinks, oh, you shouldn't really be saying that.
Piss off.
You shouldn't be,
They know everything about me. Yeah, I mean, my boss, fucking hell, he knows everything about me.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's always checking my fucking thing and checking this. And then when I see him, oh, hello, doc. Oh, how are you? It's like, fucking hell, you hate my guts, you bastard. But when we see each other, it's literally, oh, hello, yes. I mean, he's Iraqi as well, but
yeah.
He's more corporate than I am. Much more corporate. But I'm learning corporate shit from him now.
Yeah,
it's fascinating, this corporate shit. Fucking hell.
So how's it different to, say, NHS, for example?
Well, I think it's the same. It's totally the same.
Bureaucracy, red tape, and bullshit.
Exactly. It's like totally the same, everywhere. But there's more money in the NHS. More money in the NHS. NHS is a great cash cow, mate. If you want money, go to the NHS. But getting in is difficult.
Yeah.
Because you got all these, buggers who've got it.
I thought there's more money in private practice, no?
No.
Seriously?
No. So something like, I can't remember the figures. Something like 120 billion is spent in healthcare, and about 90% is in NHS.
Wow.
Yeah. No, there's no private sector kind of compared to the NHS. 90% is NHS. 90% is NHS.
Really?
Massive cash cow. That's the problem that we have with the NHS. Because it's being fed by us, taxpayers. Mm-hmm. It's great. Do what the fuck you want.
So where does the bubble burst?
Doesn't burst as long as we're paying.
Seriously?
It doesn't burst. You just keep plowing money into it. Yeah. And then you got, politicians who all have vested interests. They have millions of companies who have subcontracts with
Yeah.
It's a very Iraqi thing. That's how Iraqi government works. Okay. You get in government, you get your companies in, and then you milk it dry. And here's Elliot thinking, I'm going to have a normal conversation with this man. Let me get him back to Edinburgh. Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about this for a long time because I've never experienced the corporate world. And, the corporate world, you got to be careful. Otherwise, your company's down the pan.
Yeah.
So you got to be really careful.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the government sector, well, gives a fuck. Job's still going to be here until I'm 65.
What do you think of British politics?
I'm not into it, so
No.
I don't really know. You know, I don't follow British politics. How about
Yeah.
you? What do you think of it?
Well, to quote you, mate, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit.
It's bullshit, but it's vested bullshit. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of vested interest in here.
Yeah.
So, you know, the current health secretary, great man. I follow him on Twitter. You know, he wants to be the prime minister.
Mm.
And you know, his reason is, oh, I want to bring, you know, the youth, you know, a young whatever into, what the fuck is that about?
Yeah.
Young company, yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I've become quite sort of jaded and skeptical of the political system and how much, certainly how much influence or effect you as an individual have on the overall picture, but also, you know, the motives and the, you know, like why politicians do politics. I think that, I don't know.
I mean, there's some good stuff. I mean, when I was,
Of course,
you know, when I was
always.
in Iraq, I was quite influential there. We're doing some great stuff there, and you know, I was sitting with the politicians there, and you can do some amazing work.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
know, I'm not gonna knock that whatsoever. And I think, you know, if you have a passion in politics, great, go in there. And if you have a passion for changing civil policy and civil society and bring a benefit to your community, absolutely go for it.
I mean, there undoubtedly
yeah.
are people that do do that for sure.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there's other people that are in it for, you know, self-gain, money, whatever it is.
I think that's in the
negative.
minority. I think that's in the minority.
It possibly is, but it's the
yeah.
minority. It's always the, you know, like the loud minority in any group that ultimately tarnish the face of
Yeah,
the rest of
it's
it.
like shit podcasts. Yeah, there's always a few shit podcasts that fuck everything up. People like, you know,
Not this
Elliot.
one, obviously.
No.
Not
This is the best podcast ever. Fuck's sake, you know, subscribe to this shit, mate.
Yeah, totally.
We're on air, mate. We're on air.
British politics. Yeah. Well, so there was recently European elections. You receive all this sort of spam mail in the post. So I thought, well, I'll have a look at them. You got like your Brexit Party, UKIP, Green, Tory, SNP, Labour, and basically the stance of every single one of them is just criticising somebody else. Like, you know, the Tory one's criticising the Labour one, the Labour one's criticising the Tory one, the SNP's criticising all of them, and you're just like, what game are we actually ultimately playing here? Like,
Yeah.
are you genuinely doing what you're doing because you're passionate about change and helping other people, or is it just now just about like dividing public opinion and you know, creating hate and all this sort of stuff?
But that's boring, Elliot, you see. You know, that people
I mean,
love
it
this
might-
shit.
Well, but they do, unfortunately,
Yeah.
and that's a reflection of how people in society are, unfortunately.
You know, and it's like, okay, you're with us, let's go and verbally attack the other group, and you know, and they got off of that. You
that's tribalism at its worst.
You know, let's
Ethnocentrism.
You know, let's sort of get off on Glasgow. It's like, yeah, Glasgow
But what you know,
gets a laugh.
at what point did we stop being just like humans on planet Earth?
I think the moment we became humans.
Do you think so?
Yeah. I mean, it's always been this way, isn't it? You know, if you're the bad kid or the bad person, you know, you get shit stuff. You know, you get nice stuff, isn't it? Whereas if you're the goody two shoe, whatever. I mean, you know, if I didn't talk like this and sort of didn't get my voice out there, and no one gives a shit. Do you see what I mean? It's like it's got to be like that, you know. If you've got a message,
I just find that fucking upsetting though. You know, that you have to be like, well, so, you know, to use the MMA world, you have to be basically Conor McGregor to be successful.
Conor McGregor is shit, right? He's got a great left hand, but that's it. He can time that left hand, and that's it, right? Otherwise, he's shit. But look what he's done to the MMA world. He's absolutely revolutionized it.
Yeah.
With a big mouth and big something else. I don't know what else that's big in him, right? He's got a few other big things as well, and he's got a great left hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you got to do, Elliot. You know, it's like you can't put your sensibilities into this and sort of, you just got to put that to one side, see what your passions are, see what you're good at, and just fucking take it to the max.
Yeah? You think so?
Fuck yeah. Come on, Joe Rogan.
I was going to
Fuck's
say.
sake.
So how? In what way does somebody like Joe Rogan do that? Do you think?
Pot.
Yeah. But there's loads of, no, I don't know that I agree with you, mate, to be honest, because there's millions of people that are influencers or are respected in their chosen field, and not all of them are like loudmouth gobshites.
I think
you
he's
can,
like,
you can have morals and ethics and be fundamentally a good person, and not.
But he's found his
compromise on your
niche.
stuff.
He's found his thing. You see what I mean? And he's worked so hard for it, i.e. MMA martial arts. That's his thing. He says MMA, I know my MMA.
Yeah.
It's like, don't argue with, it's like, you can't argue with him when it comes to MMA.
Yeah.
He just shoots you down.
Yeah.
So no, MMA is me.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Martial arts is me. Fuck you.
Yeah.
He's not a great comedian. Have you listened to his?
Yeah,
Fuck,
yeah.
It's like, I'm switching this off.
Yeah, I'm not fanatical about his comedy.
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a decent commentator, though.
He's a very good commentator because he's very knowledgeable about
Yeah.
MMA and martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in the game for 40 years, 35 years.
Yeah.
That's what he excels in.
Mm.
You know what your shit is. I don't know what your shit is. You know inside of you what your shit is. You've just got to augment that.
Yeah, I mean,
to the max.
Yeah.
And not get
augment that to the max.
Augment it to the max and not give a shit about the surrounding noise.
Yeah.
Irritating noise. My shit is serious stuff, let's make fun of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That is your stuff.
Yeah, fuck it.
Totally.
It's like serious bullshit, mate. Just like that doctor. He's a fucking high flying doctor. It's like, fuck. Mate, it's bullshit. I mean, what do you want me to say about it? Piss off.
Good times. Good times.
It's always good times. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about happiness. And the only reason I'm here is because I'm having a good time with you. And I've had a great coffee, and I've licked this lovely stone from Mars or the moon.
Classic.
Cool.
Anything else you want to talk about whilst we're here?
Not really. Really nice setup, I must say. I love all these sort of 17 cameras you've got here. 17 bloody cameras.
I may well just use the one. It's a lot less work, man. Because, Inspired Edinburgh interviews, I've got 8 angles, although I primarily use 5, but it's painstaking work, the editing process. Whereas this, you can just knock out the one, layer on
That's
the
why I have
audio,
just the
and
one
it's
wife. It's like, fuck it, I can't be asked. My dad's got 2 wives. My granddad has 2 wives. I thought, fuck this thing. I'll have the one wife, that's it. It's fucking cheap.
Oh, jeez. Well, mate, it's
Great.
been awesome. It's been awesome having you here.
Thank you.
It's been great speaking to you.
Thank you.
I love hearing your views on stuff.
Lovely. Let's do it again soon.
Definitely. Where can people find you?
The Third Eye Doctor.co.uk. Actually, we've got a very good event in London if you're interested. Breaking Through.
Oh, okay.
So I interview my guests on Surgical Spirit, which is the name of the podcast, and then we bring them over and do an event for them. Hopefully they won't hear this because we sort of bring them in and then we sort of give them a hard time, and yeah, they get quite agitated and angry, but it makes great entertainment. That's the main thing.
Entertainment.
Breaking Through, and Surgical Spirit and Physician on Fire is my book on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, really.
Sweet.
Lovely.
Well, my brother, thank you so much for dropping by. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.